Hey everyone, and welcome to today's Reading Practice Explainer. I'm absolutely thrilled to be your study buddy today as we step into a vibrant, animated world to level up our English. We're looking at a classic Aesop's fable, but we're doing it with an E3 level focus. So that means we aren't just reading a simple children's story, we're actively hunting for high-level vocabulary, dynamic phrases, and a fantastic moral that you can actually use in your everyday conversations. So get comfortable, bring your curiosity, and let's jump right in.
Okay, let's dive into this. I really want you to imagine someone you've met, or maybe even someone you've seen flexing on social media, who is incredibly flashy. You know the type. They brag a lot, they show off their expensive clothes or their perfect lifestyle, but when it actually comes to real skills or character, well, they just can't back it up. They're all style and absolutely no substance. Keep that person in the back of your mind because that is exactly the kind of character we're going to meet in our fable today.
So check out our two main characters here. The contrast is just wonderfully comical. On the left, we've got the peacock. He's splendid, he's shimmering, but ultimately, he is grounded. He really can't fly very well. Then over on the right, we have the crane. Now the crane is drab, plain, and gray. But the crane is unruffled, meaning completely calm and zen, and most importantly, the crane is capable of soaring high in the sky. It's basically the ultimate showdown between looking good and actually being good.
Section 1. Story time. Let's read together.
Now, as an E3 learner, I want you to pay really close attention to the highlighted English words and their translations on the screen to help anchor the meaning in your mind. Focus on how these words sound and how they build up the characters' attitudes. Ready? The story begins simply enough. A peacock chancing to meet a crane. I absolutely love that phrase, chancing to meet. It just sounds so much more elegant than saying met by accident, doesn't it? It sets this classic, slightly theatrical tone for our fable. It was just a random encounter on an ordinary day. Spread wide his gorgeous tail. Picture this. The peacock sees an audience, even if it's literally just one plain bird, and he completely seizes the moment. He doesn't just open his tail, he spreads it wide. And that word gorgeous, it has such a vibrant, colorful energy to it. You really have to say it with a bit of feeling to capture just how highly this peacock thinks of himself. And looked down upon the plain gray bird with open scorn. Now we're seeing the peacock's true colors. And honestly, they aren't so pretty. Looked down upon is a great phrasal verb for showing arrogance. But the real treasure here for you E3 learners is open scorn. It means he isn't even trying to hide his disgust. It's a fantastic, highly descriptive phrase to keep in your back pocket for when you need to describe a terrible, arrogant attitude.
And this brilliantly illustrates exactly how pompous our peacock is. He actually says out loud, "Behold my splendid plumage, shimmering with gold and purple and every brilliant hue." I mean, who talks like that? Behold, look at me, splendid plumage, my amazing feathers, and shimmering, catching the light perfectly. He is just absolutely in love with his own appearance.
And he doesn't stop there. He turns on the crane and says, "And what have you? Nothing but drab and colorless feathers. How dull you appear beside me." Notice how perfectly the words drab and dull capture his entirely dismissive attitude. They actually sound flat and boring, which is exactly how he views the poor crane.
But here is where the story gets really good. The crane, quite unruffled, made a calm reply. I want you to internalize that word unruffled. Literally, it means his feathers aren't all messed up. But figuratively, it means he is completely unbothered, he is totally zen. The peacock just threw a massive insult right at him, and the crane doesn't even blink. The crane replies,
Your feathers are indeed beautiful. I will not deny it. Just look at how polite that is. As a fellow language learner, I always marvel at this kind of conversational judo. He doesn't get defensive at all. He calmly agrees with the fact that the peacock is pretty. He doesn't deny it. He acknowledges reality before making his real point.
Then the crane completely turns the argument upside down. He says, "Yet for all their splendor, they keep you bound to the earth, strutting among the barnyard fowl." Wow. The crane is pointing out a massive limitation here. The peacock might look amazing, but those heavy feathers keep him stuck in the dirt, just walking around, strutting with the chickens. His beauty is actually his prison. And then the crane delivers the final blow. I, on the other hand, may be plainly dressed, but I can spread my wings and soar high among the clouds to heights you will never reach. You can really feel the triumph in that word soar. It means to fly high with incredible power and freedom. The peacock has his colors, sure, but the crane has the entire sky.
Section 2. Interactive challenge. Step into the fable. All right, let's break the fourth wall for a quick second. We've read the story. Now it's time to see if you can use the language with some rapid-fire role-play exercises to test out your new E3 vocabulary. Role-play 1. You're the arrogant peacock. How do you boast about your tail using the word splendid? I'll give you a second to think. Got it? You could say something like, "Look at my splendid plumage," or "My splendid feathers are literally the best in the world." It's all about owning that over-the-top, flashy confidence.
Moving on to role play 2, now you're the crane. Someone just insulted your plain clothes. How do you describe your calm state of mind? Hint, use that awesome word we talked about earlier. Did you get it? You'd say, "I am completely unruffled." It perfectly shows that you're totally at peace and just completely unaffected by their negativity.
Roleplay 3. Stepping out of character now, as an E3 learner analyzing this text. So, the crucial point is, what was that great phrase we used to describe the peacock's terrible attitude of looking down on others? Did you remember it? The answer is open scorn. If you remembered that one, give yourself a massive pat on the back. Your reading comprehension is doing fantastic. Section 3. The treasure. E3 vocabulary summary. Now we're moving into the consolidation phase, where we gather up all the treasure from our reading. Here is the first half of our vocabulary list, mostly focusing on the peacock's visual world. We have gorgeous for stunningly beautiful, open scorn for visible disrespect, splendid plumage for magnificent feathers, shimmer with for that glittering light effect. And on the negative side, we've got drab and dull for things that are boring and colorless. I highly recommend getting your screenshot buttons ready right now and taking a picture of the translations on screen so you can review them later. Okay, let's look at the rest of the list. And here's the second half, focusing heavily on action and the crane's mindset. Unruffled for calm. Deny for refusing to admit something. Bound to the earth, meaning you're stuck on the ground. Strut, to walk with arrogance. Soar, to fly powerfully. And finally, outward beauty, which is all about how things look on the surface. These are incredibly dynamic verbs and concepts to add into your writing. Section 4, the golden quote. So we've mastered the vocabulary, we've analyzed the story, but every good fable leaves us with a parting gift, the moral of the story. True worth lies in more than mere outward beauty. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is how perfectly this quote distills the entire story into one punchy sentence. The peacock had all the outward beauty in the world, but his true worth was incredibly low because he was arrogant and physically limited. The crane had no outward beauty, but his true worth was immense because of his freedom and his solid character.
Just to be crystal clear on this, let's define that core concept. Outward beauty is just superficial. It's an external appearance. As we saw with the peacock, it absolutely does not represent true ability, it certainly doesn't give you freedom, and it definitely doesn't equal inner worth. It's really just a shiny coat of paint. It kept him stuck in the dirt while the plain crane literally owned the sky.
And that brings us to the end of our fable for today. I want to leave you with this final thought-provoking question to carry with you. Where do you fly when others are just strutting on the ground? You know, don't worry about being the flashiest or the loudest in the room. Focus on building your skills, your vocabulary, your unruffled character, so that when the time comes, you have the absolute power to soar. Keep practicing, keep soaring in your English studies, and I will catch you in the next explainer.